Hello everyone. So about 2 weeks ago, I got to see the new Scott Derrickson The Black Phone, and I was between seeing this movie and Lightyear, but I ultimately went with this movie of The Black Phone, which is directed by Scott Derrickson, and it pairs back actors that he's had before, such as I think it is James Ransone and Ethan Hawke, which he's worked before on this movie here, Sinister, which I really like. And basically, this movie I believe is I think is adapted by the book of the short story of The Backbone, which is written by Joe Hill. If who anyone does not know who that is, he's actually the son of oh god damn it, why am I forgetting? Joe Hill is actually the son of Stephen King. And once you get into the story and the themes and the arcs of this movie, you really do see all these motifs and the story arcs and all this type of stuff that you would typically see in a Stephen King story lead into Joe Hill's writing of the material and Scott Derrickson's more stylistic throwbacks of the 70s and 80s endeavors of what you see in this movie. And I do think it's all really handled well, because I do think this movie really requires the idea of, in today's culture, which I think it's annoying recently that we've been celebrating so much emphasis into nostalgia baiting and stuff like that. And I feel like it's a real lacking way of almost like the death of originality in film, and this movie has a bit of both in it. But this movie, it feels like it's a good throwback to the old 70s and 80s, like, the cartridges of milk being like, the missing kids here, and which also hints back towards the idea of the almost like the grabber, the snatcher, who's played by Ethan Hawke in this movie, and who's played by Ethan Hawke. And I do think what this movie does really strongly is understanding the sense of throwing back the style and the nuances of the filmmaking of the films, like back in the earlier 80s and in the 70s, films like Black Christmas or the original Halloween, a lot of earlier John Carpenter material, see really influenced within the stylistic approach in this movie, and both the story and the themes, which do feel like both Carpenter and Stephen King Carpenter and Stephen King alike, within both themes, story, and the motifs that you see within this film. All performances are really good. I think both the kids in this movie are really damn strong. I think the kid Mason Thames, who plays main kid Finney in this movie, is particularly really damn good, and I want to say he's acting circles around these older actors, such as Ethan Hawke, who's been around since Dead Poets Society. But this kid who plays Finney, Mason Thames, I think is really terrific. And this little arc that he goes through within being kept in the basement of the catcher. And I do think he's so uniquely particular, with a sense of this nervous energy and a sense of always being aware and vigilant, because the sense of the bullying aspect that kicks through in the story of this movie, and as I said, the nostalgia baiting and everything. I wouldn't say nostalgia baiting, but as I said, it's like a lot of the Stephen King motifs that he's, if you've seen a lot of his movies or whatever, a lot of his books, and especially with the alcoholic, abusive father, and it's like the parent being like, I don't want you to turn out like your mother or your parent or the other parent who's not here. And it's handled with a sense of with a great sense of foreboding atmosphere, tone, and craft, that I found it to be such a tight, well written, and a very well paced movie that's really dramatically there. And I found this movie, it is, just like with the Stephen King movie, it ties in a very unique balance between the haunting thriller aspect of like the snatch and everything, but also the basement itself having some sense of a supernatural aspect to it, and yet it never felt out of that field. It had this really, in my view, it had this really unique balance of both blending in well of the character of Finney interacting on the phone with previous victims who were saying, here's the techniques, here's what you're going to do to fight back against the grabber with the mask. And I found that to be incredibly captivating. I found I had all these throwback type of things with the bullies, the writing, and everything to be very, very engaging. But a lot of it does feel a bit safe. And I do think that kind of comes with the territory with the directors. I won't say the director, but also within the story in itself, I found to be a bit safe by horror movie standards. I wish it had a little bit more dramatic tension to it. As much as I was invested in everything, I wish it felt a little bit more Hollywoodized. I felt the movie itself was, as I said, is a bit safe. I felt like there was something like, it's like, oh, you escape? Oh, okay, an eye for an eye, so I get someone else. And there's this impending sense of dread and the fear in the movie. But also, as I said, it takes a lot of safe starter routes that you see in others. And it does, like the writing bearing of Stephen King, being the original author's dad, which is Joe Hill, who wrote this movie, and who wrote this story that this movie was based off of. You see a lot of that through the prism of the writing. And a lot of it in my mind was, I wish it was done with a little bit more sense of dramatic tension. Like, it was done very well. I'm just glad that there's actually a good, I'm just glad that this is above anything else, a solid, good horror movie that actually functions narratively well for the most part. I just wish it was a little bit more creative, and it took a little bit more chances overall. And I will say, as much as I love Ethan Hawke being creepy as hell, I wish there was just a little bit more of him, instead of like being a little bit selfish, like I wanted more. I felt like his character in this movie I think it worked well with knowing less about him and his side of this, like him not knowing all that much about him, perfectly played into the mania and the fear and the tone of that side of the story. But I do think I wish there was a little bit more screen presence with him. I think the movie kind of didn't really use him as much as we wanted to. I also thought the James Ransome character who played Max, excuse me, I thought his story would lead up to something else, but it felt like it was just kind of hacked off. I just kind of realized I may have spoiled something there, but anyway, I felt this is a really solid horror movie in my view. I would give it with a good, it has a tone, and the writing is very strong. The performances are great. The setup, the writing, a lot of it is really good. I just wish it took a little bit more chances, and I do think it felt a little safe and standard. Granted, if it was doing that, then it'd be like, I understand that on the other side of that, it could be too far unconventional. A film like Hereditary, which put me into a corner, and which was probably a little too much for me, in truth. But anyway, yeah, I thought The Black Phone was a very good movie. But those two little sense of criticisms for me, it was a bit safe. I already said, but overall, I think I think The Black Phone was a really solid horror movie, and I'm glad there's another. I will say, this isn't a problem with the movie in itself, but, and granted, it's a movie that didn't play into the Halloween aspect of things, because it didn't. Like, I mean, movie-wise, I mean, like, holiday-wise, because if it did, or at the very least, I wish they could have shifted this movie to October, because this would have been like a great little kick into the horror-themed aspect of October being Halloween. I just wish I would have taken this movie and shifted it to like October 1st or 10th and be like, this is a great way to kick off the horror autumn season. this being a June release is weird, but it still delivers on a technical level that I really did enjoy. And I'll give the Black Phone. I'll give it either a 7.5 or an 8. It's somewhere between there for me. And I do think it's a really solid horror movie. So yeah, I would recommend it. Like, but and again, I like with the story arcs and the truth, I found the ending a bit. It's satisfying. It's narratively satisfying, but I did also feel like with Sinister, it felt a little like it doesn't really earn it too much because with Sinister, it's a great build up, but a weak payoff within the last little bit. That I felt like it didn't really need to do that. Another film that did that aspect to it was 2010's Eli Roth produced The Last Exorcism, which is a really solid hour first beginning of it, and then by the end, and the ending just kind of goes off the handle, goes off the rails in my view. That's just my own view of the movie, in truth. But overall, I really do hope you enjoyed it. And until then, everyone, thank you very much for watching, and cheers. Having a good day. And tomorrow's my birthday. Right, I'm recording this on July 8th. Well, I'm sure this will come out July 8th, but tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm really excited for that. So, yeah, cheers. Bye.